Thanks for spending your weekend with us here on Retire ATL. It's all powered by the Vincent Financial Group. Aaron Vincent is here. Matthew Decker is here. My name is Mark Owen, 770-741-0120. Really good conversation this weekend about your tax strategy. And if you want more, we invite you to subscribe to the Retire ATL podcast. You can find it across all podcast platforms and get more at retireatlradio.com. I found that clip that you were talking about from tax guru Ed Slott. And before we get to that, maybe somebody listening this weekend, they've heard the name Ed Slott, don't really know much about him. Y'all are big fans.
Huge fans.
Yeah, big fans.
He's the tax nerd that everybody wants in their corner.
Yeah.
And he loves it.
Yeah.
He eats, sleeps, and breathes it. And he's, generally speaking, right on the nose.
I think everyone loves him so much is because he's in the weeds. Like, I don't know anyone, literally nobody, who's as smart and educated and aware of and familiar with the tax code and all that goes into it, and yet hasn't sort of drank the Kool-Aid, if you will. He's just telling the truth. It's like just wide open, like, here's what I know, and here's the facts, and here's how it applies to you. It's really hard to find resources like that in the financial world.
I'll also add that my neighbor works for Ed Slott, with Ed Slott. She's his Social Security expert. And so I know on a personal level, she sings his praises as a human being. Just like, he's the best, he's awesome, he's just so generous, he's down to earth. And so when you hear things like that, and you know that they've got the goods,
yeah,
I'm like, I love that.
And he's one of those guys that he could have retired a long time ago, but he just enjoys this. Here's the clip you were talking about, Ed Slott talking about an IRA.
Remember, a lot of your IRA is a debt owed back to the government. Your IRA is an IOU to the IRS. Your IRA is a joint account with Uncle Sam. But here's the difference. With a regular joint account, you generally own half. You have a joint account with Uncle Sam where you don't know what his half will be. That's yet to be determined based on how much money the government needs at the time you take that money out. Now you do know what the rates are. You're in control.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean,
nail on the head.
There's so much to talk about here, but I'll start with this, because we talked about the spanking versus the grounding. Funny thing, too, we had someone come in just a couple of weeks ago and kind of tongue-in-cheek, he joked, he said, hey, my wife and I are here because we want the spanking. We don't want the grounding.
And we're like, oh, you're our kind of people.
Yes,
come on, sit down.
I'm going to get along well with you. I mean, it was awesome. So
there's another customer sitting in the lobby going, what did I miss here?
What am I here for?
Yeah, but so we have this conversation a lot, and there's so much in this, but we have to get some money over the fence, as I like to call it, because to Ed Slott's point, you literally, like, if you're looking at your 401k balance or your IRA balance on your statement.
How much do you own?
How much do you own? You can't calculate income off of that, how much of that money, how much income that account will generate for you if you don't know how much of it you'll get to keep. You literally can't do the calculation.
You can guess.
You can guess, and you can use some numbers, but to our point earlier, historical tax rates, so we're on the low end. Where are they going to go in the future? Literally nobody knows. So we have to get some money over the fence. That's one of the strategies, Mark, that we've been talking about as far as how to mitigate this. And you take the spanking, you pay some of the taxes now. If it's true, and it is, that we're in historically low tax rates now, even though it might hurt, you want to go ahead and pay some taxes now on that money, get it over the fence. Now, the money that's over the fence after you've paid taxes and you've converted it to your Roth, now whatever it grows to in the future, all the returns you get on that and the investments, whatever that money grows to, now you do have a calculable amount that you can determine how much income you're going to get from that, because there is no question. There is no unknown. There is no silent partner. There is no 50-50 joint account with the IRS because it's over the fence now. And so that's one of many, many things that we'll do. But the cool thing is you can actually calculate that. Mm-hmm. Like there's a number. So we would never suggest that someone converts so much money in one given year out of an IRA or 401k into, say, a Roth IRA, that it kicks them into a whole new tax bracket, for example.
Or we may.
Well, yeah, we may.
We may.
If it makes sense. But
because we'll look at every single solution that's possible.
Correct. We may. The point is, we won't suggest that if it's not the ideal
that's
one.
Right.
What I'm trying to get
at. We'll look at every single solution that exists. Depending on how much money you have.
Yeah.
It may be that, like,
you got to do it fast.
You got to
or how old you are.
Yeah.
Like to your point, the window closes at 73 or sooner, depending on some details. It may be that over the next, like, if you're 65 and you're listening to this right now and you got $1 million in an IRA or a 401k,
you got work to do.
And you've got a small window to do it. So it might be that we have to do it faster. But the point is and this is what I want to make sure our listeners hear that's crystal clear, is the advice that we give or the plans that we build, all of the numbers, like the income numbers, for example, is net of taxes, net of fees. So we've got to be able to draw up and to know the plan after all the costs and expenses that go with it. So you're kind of getting that just by default with us. And I think that's what gives a lot of peace of mind, because I think sometimes people get caught in the real risk, quote unquote, in retirement is market risk.
Yep.
Well,
maybe not. Probably
maybe
not.
not. Yeah.
Probably not.
If your biggest expense in retirement is going to be taxes, I would make a pretty good argument that there's as much tax risk as there is market risk, but it goes unspoken about for far too long.
Absolutely. If you're 73 or older and you're thinking, I just heard those guys say that I can't do a Roth conversion anymore. Well, let me be very specific for you. You can. You can still do a Roth conversion. You can do one at any point in time. But once you turn 73, we did a segment on this a while back. It was when we were on the other time slot, though. We were talking in the morning, and I got all fired up, and I had to go and finish the rest of my day all fired up. But
take a nap.
We talked about required minimum distributions, forced taxation. Okay, so required minimum distributions is where you are forced to start drawing down your qualified accounts, and that starts at age 73. The reason we're making a stink about this 73 is because if you do a Roth conversion, that is paying the tax on your qualified account and getting it over the tax fence. But if you're 73 and in RMDs, that does not satisfy your RMD. It does not satisfy your forced taxation. So you will have your regular RMD, and if you want to do a Roth conversion, you have to do it on top of the RMD. Right. So that's why we say that age 73 is kind of critical, because we just have way more flexibility. But I like to paint a picture of what this might look like. You're 64 years old, you got $1.5 million in qualified accounts or $1 million in qualified accounts, and you're thinking, all right, I've got somewhere around 8 to 10 years to put in place this plan. And what it's going to look like is there are going to be some years in there where we decide this is the year where we're going to take the spanking, which means we're going to get a bunch of money over the tax fence. We're going to pay the taxes now because we have control over what the rate is today. And you're going to have to do that several times. But you'll get to a point where all of a sudden you got a bunch of money over the tax fence. Maybe you've got $200,000 or $300,000 left in your qualified accounts. Well, guess what? Everybody has a standard deduction, and the RMD on that $200,000 account is probably going to be less than your standard deduction. And you've done a really good job getting a bunch of money over the fence. You got a huge pile of tax-free dollars, non-taxable, non-reportable. And man, your tax bill potentially could be in the dollars, like the hundreds of dollars, $1,000. And if that's you, if you started with a $1.2 million qualified account and you're staring down the barrel at, you went through our tax map and you're staring down the barrel of a $290,000, a $300,000 tax bill in and through your retirement. And 7 years down the road, you're paying $1,000, $1,500. Like, man, that feels good. In fact, what it probably feels like is the audio that you played to open this show. I wonder if you still got that, Mark. You're sitting there on the couch. You've done all these Roth conversions. Your qualified account has dwindled down to basically, next to nothing. You got $1 million in a Roth IRA. You got your standard deduction still sitting there, and life feels pretty freaking good. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm feeling good.
You're walking down the street and
I'm
you're like,
this.
I got $1 million Roth IRA, baby. Hey, I started with $1 million in my 401k. Not anymore.
I ain't got no handshake deal with Uncle Sam.
Oh, yeah. RMDs. Nope. Man, I ain't got no RMDs. I took care of that.
I got a little pep in my step now.
Yeah.
Got a little swag walk going on.
Hey, if you want to feel like this, 770-741-0120, retireatlradio.com.
You got your own soundtrack.
Smooth
you got your own
jazz.
walking music going on.
Who doesn't want to feel like that?
Versus, let's do a little versus, I don't know what I'm going to pay in taxes. Right. And I don't know what it's going to cost me. And I don't know what my income can be. That's how most people live.
Frantic.
It's terrible.
That's right, 770-741-0120. So somebody's just checking into Retire ATL this weekend, and we appreciate you listening, retireatlradio.com. But let's take a couple of seconds and maybe reintroduce you to the audience for maybe somebody just checking us out. And we talked about, our brand new time slot here on WSB. We do have a full archive of shows. You can hear that on the Retire ATL podcast. But Aaron, Vincent, talk to me about the Vincent Finance Group. Where are you located? What's your mission statement, if you will?
Our office is located in downtown Woodstock, and we love it. We've been serving that area for a long time and, love Metro Atlanta. We work here, we live here, we play here, our kids go to school here, and it feels good to be part of this community.
Yeah.
And now, the truth is, we serve people in lots of different states, but that's usually because we've gotten, one of our local clients referred us, somebody's out of state, or someone who was our client here in Atlanta took a job change and moved somewhere else. Now they're our client there. And we do get calls or get new clients from out of state, but man, we love it here. Now, having said that, we'd love to have you in our office. And if you're interested and you want to talk about any of these things that we're talking about, come check us out. And I hope you want to come to our office and see us. But if you don't, that's okay too. We can do it via Zoom. We'll figure out a way to talk is the point. So our mission statement, it's our goal really is to help people empower their money to live the life that they want to live.
Mm-hmm.
Life is about so much more than money. Now, if you don't get the money part right, it's tough to enjoy your life and it's tough to not fall into fear or greed or all the different kind of consequences of that reality. So that's why we talk about it in this regard. And so, helping people be empowered to live the life that they're called to, that they want to live, and make their money kind of help them as a tool, get them there, not the tail wagging the dog as far as, I can only live the life that my money allows me to, trying to get past that. And then, we love to crush bad guys.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Well, our industry, if I can say it that way, I don't like saying it that way because industry, but the business that we're in, the services that we provide is one that it's just so difficult sometimes for an investor, a retiree, somebody planning for their retirement to just get real black and white kind of true information. So,
and it's because of the fear and greed,
correct.
The fear and greed dynamics. Because if you are a bad guy, right? We talked last week about the Sneetches, the star-bellied Sneetches from Dr. Seuss, and the traveling salesman.
You don't want to miss that one.
No, you don't. If you're a bad guy and you're like, man, I want to find a way to make some good, easy money. Okay, well, anywhere where there's a built-in fear or greed kind of default mode, that is a environment you can exploit.
Yep.
If you're a bad guy.
Yep.
Because all you got to do is walk in and prey on fear.
Yeah.
Or prey on greed.
Absolutely.
Hey, I got something that you need that's going to make you, look good in front of your friends. Mm-hmm. I got something you're going to do better than everybody else. Okay, that's what greed would sound like. Or you better be careful because, man, you could lose it all. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to lose it all. So I got this thing that you should, okay, that's a bad guy. He's preying on fear and greed.
Yep.
And so I think that kind of is what you're talking about. We've got this built-in fear and greed, and it's just ripe to be exploited, and we hate that.
Yeah.
It is why we started this business, because we saw how much of that was going on, and we just knew intuitively, man, if we just kind of put ourselves out there, Matt Decker, Aaron Vincent, this is who we are, this is where we are, we're in downtown Woodstock, we got families, we got kids, like we're not perfect, but if we just put ourselves out there and decided to do what was right and give people rock solid information and totally let go of the control over the decision. What I mean by that is, Mr. and Mrs. Client, here's the situation that you're in. Here's what you can do about it. Here are the different variables. What do you want to do? Like, we let go of control, right?
Yeah.
You get to make the decision. That decision may be, I hate your guts and I'm out of here. Okay, fine. But I hope you learned something.
Yeah.
Either way, we get to win.
Yeah.
We win no matter what.
We've
Because we're focused on education.
That's exactly
and
right.
empowering your
Yes.
money.
Yes. We've built our business and built our lives, for that matter, on, just to say it bluntly, we don't need you as a client to pay our bills. Like, I don't need to sell you this product or to win your business in order to, do whatever I want to do personally to afford it. We don't need it. We've built a service We've built a business. We've built a team and kind of adjusted our lives to the point where we don't need that.
Yeah.
And so it's not contingent. My lifestyle is not contingent upon whether or not I can talk you into being my client or not. So now we're free to say, look, here's the facts as we know them. Here's what's true. Here's what's black and white. Now, there's some gray area. There's some things we don't know. I don't know what the market's going to do next month. So it's not all just black and white. But there are facts and there is truth. And then there's bad guys and there's bad actors and there's bad advice and you, the investor, you, the retiree, it's just so difficult to figure out what's what. And so we decided that we wanted to create an environment, create a space, create a service where, look, here's just the truth. Here's the facts. I hope that you want to engage us on the level where you become one of our clients, but it's okay if you don't. But these are the facts. We built our business that way.
And I would just say that building the business that way, it allows us in a lot of cases to let people off the hook. And we say, hey, we did the analysis on your portfolio or your goals or this or that. And the truth is, we actually can't help you. Like, you may not be a good client for us. Mm-hmm. And what we've found over doing this time and time again, because again, we focus on 3 key pillars. We focus on your risk profile, making sure that's dialed in and that you're comfortable with it emotionally. That takes time, it takes effort. We focus on minimizing your taxes to Uncle Sam, and we focus on determining your income stream. And when we combine those 3 things together, what we find are the people that we are really able to move the needle for, where they come in kind of like, I don't know what's what. I have or I have a general feeling that something's wrong, but I don't know what it is. The people who come in with questions and leave the most transformed. That's what I'm trying to say. Typically, they're under the age of 73 for some of the reasons that we just talked about with that spanking versus grounding and Roth conversions. They are in retirement or like early retirement, or they're getting ready to retire imminently, in the next year or 2. And oftentimes they're going to have somewhere between, let's call it $500,000 in qualified accounts or manageable dollars and $3 million. Like, that's the sweet spot for us. And the reason is, if you have less than $500,000, our answer is probably going to be, hey, you might have to work a little bit longer. Unless your standard of living is just very low or you have a pension. And if that's the case, then you may not have any problems to solve, right? So, and we tell you, hey, you don't have any problems that you need us to solve. If you have way more than $3 million, same thing. You probably don't have many problems that we need to come in and solve because you've done such a good job saving, unless you got $3 million and you're like, hey guys, Matt, Aaron, love you, heard you on the radio. I'd like to spend $350,000 a year. Can you help me do that? Right. I've got $3 million. Then, okay, maybe you do have problems because that's going to be difficult to achieve. But we've just found the sweet spot, the people that we move the needle for the most, who leave our process saying things like, I'm so glad I found you. I finally understand what I have. I know the direction that I'm going. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Those people typically, they're under the age of 73. They're retiring right now or in early retirement, and they've got somewhere between $500,000 and $3 million. Those are the people we move the needle for.
Yeah, it's true. And sometimes there are people.
Hold on. If that's you.
Yeah.
If that's you, we would love to speak with you. You can try our process, no questions asked. We know we're going to win regardless because we're going to educate you on what you have, where you're going, and you're going to learn something from this process. I'd encourage you to start the process with us. 770-741-0120, retireatlradio.com.
And I want to clarify, too, we talked about crushing bad guys. I want to make sure we're clear on this, because what I don't mean to say is that, hey, everybody else out there's bad, and
I'll say it,
and we're good.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
That's like, isn't a con man? Isn't that phrase?
Yeah.
Con means confidence.
Yes.
So if you have a lot of confidence and you can speak clearly and with eloquence, then you can be a con man. Well, what I'm not saying is that we've got it figured out. Everybody else does it wrong. We do it right. You should call us for that reason. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying, I think we defined some form of a bad guy earlier, with just people with bad intentions. There's salespeople who just have the wrong motives.
Hey, you all know in your gut.
Yeah.
You know in your gut when you walk up to the used car lot whether that person is for you or not. Know.
Yeah, exactly. Another bad guy, though, that I want to make sure is clear is that, look, there are people out there who just don't know what they're doing. It's just they don't have a process to abide by. They don't have, they went to school for a little bit, they passed a test, and so now they're a financial advisor. And look, I hope that works out well, and I hope they have a good long career, and I hope they treat their clients well, but
There was a point in time where we didn't know what we were doing.
Absolutely, there
You know,
was.
like everybody's in those shoes at some point.
Yeah. And yet, so the reality is that there are a lot of ways to get this wrong. There's a lot of conflicting information out there. And I think that if a process isn't followed that allows you to explore who you are, what you want, where you are, where you want to go, and the best way to get there. If there's not a process.
Without becoming a client and writing a check.
Correct. If you can't find out the answers to those questions or some of those mysteries without writing a check or rolling over money to this so-and-so firm, then I would just caution you, get a second opinion first. That's what we do.
That's why that initial consultation from the team at the Vincent Financial Group, it's no cost, it's no obligation. As Matt just said, you've done a great job. You've got 4, 5, 600,000, $1 million, $1.5 million ready for your retirement. That's where the power begins to start building upon the gains in your portfolio. 770-741-0120. We have a team member standing by right now to talk to you. It's not a call service. It's not AI. If it does go to voicemail, that means they're just assisting somebody else, and somebody will call you back. But we invite you to call now. 770-741-0120 or retireatlradio.com. A lot of great conversations this weekend about taxes, income, your risk, most importantly, the pros and cons of a spanking versus grounding. And if you want more from that, we invite you to reach out to the team, and we also invite you to check out the Retire ATL podcast, which is available across all podcast platforms. Aaron, Vincent, Matthew Decker, thank you. Thank you for the information. Thank you for the education this weekend. We are back next weekend. But for the entire team of the Vincent Financial Group, this has been Retire ATL right here on WSB.